Hi, my name is John.
And my name is Lloyd.
And we're the hosts of The Pint,
a pop culture podcast.
Lloyd, if you had to tell any of the people out there that might be listening to The Pint for the first time about anything unsavory or disconcerting we might do on the show, what would you warn them about?
Well, sometimes we drop spoilers, and sometimes we swear like motherfucking sailors.
Fuck yeah, we do. You heard it from him. You've been warned.
Listen in.
Well, No Pint August is all over. We had our vacation. We had a great time. We really enjoyed that month off. It's all a lie, by the way. Yes, for you folks on that end, August was pintless for the most part, unless you were one of our Pint insiders. But for us, we're recording this in July. This is a terrible lie to all you people, but we're here in September. My name is John.
And my name is Lloyd. And we were supposed to have July off. You and I, not the Pint, but you and I. But I don't even feel like we had July off.
Well, we didn't technically because you had a little bit of a surgery. You want to talk? And I said, hey, look, you're going to be laid up. Do you want to do a couple episodes to keep your mind fresh, to keep your yes, your physical form is basically perfection, but your mind might turn to slop at your age.
Yeah.
If you're laying around too long. Why don't you tell everybody out there all about how you're doing? Because I got a lot of questions about you and what's going on with you.
I do appreciate all the thoughts and prayers from folks because I did get a lot of messages and I saw this stuff out there. I didn't have any kind of serious, surgery. It was just a hernia repair. If anyone's ever had that or known anyone's had that, it's not really too bad of a thing, but it puts you down for a little bit. I was fine. I'm telling you, the day I came home from surgery, I felt fine. And that's because I was loaded with drugs.
Yeah.
And my left thigh was totally numb, but I felt good. And the next day I was a little bit sore. The doctor gave me, oxycodone, a dozen oxycodone.
Are you addicted? Should I call help? Should I get help?
I never took anything. The only thing I took my whole time off was one Aleve, and that was it. That was one day. The day after surgery, one Aleve.
They don't call you the Manster for nothing, man.
No, they don't. There's a reason for that. Yeah. So that was Wednesday, and I was back to work today, which is the following Monday. So 3 days off work.
Oh, I thought you were still off. Okay. All right. Good.
No, I went today because I'm like, what am I going to do? Sit at home alone? Just do nothing? Not alone, but Yeah. I don't want to get too far behind at work. That's what it really boils down to.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're all glad you're back and feeling better. And, we are going to be taking the month of August off. So we'll be relaxing and pina coladas and, whatever happens in that world. But we are back. Technically, it is September for this episode. And we're doing, what am I calling it? Totally Bitchin' 80s this month, where we're just doing every episode is an 80s movie. We've got 4 on the main feed, 2 coming at you on the Insider, and a lot of them were I put up for votes on our Pint Insider with our Patreons. Again, remember, if you want to get in on this, it's Patreon/The Pint, $2.50 a month. You get all kinds of extra episodes, voting rights. You can shape our content. And one of the movies that the folks had voted for, and I decided to put it first, was John Carpenter's The Fog, a.k.a. just The Fog. And All Horror October is next month. So I wanted to put the only horror movie on our docket at the beginning, so it kind of gives you a little bit of a, horror intro, and then you
little something to look forward to.
Yeah, a little bit of sizzling bacon right there. So that's what we're talking about today, 1980. So we're starting right at the beginning of
early 1980.
Yeah, early 1980. Actually, funnily enough, I'll bring this up now, just because I think it's interesting, is it was supposed to be released in 79 and they pushed it back to 80. So technically, this is an 80s movie that could have been a 70s movie. But
yeah, right.
Let's get into it. John Carpenter's The Fog.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
It definitely has a 70s feel, especially when you consider in the 70s, you could basically pick up a hitchhiker and be banging her that same night.
You could be, I would say, I'll be gracious and say 39-year-old Tom Atkins.
Yeah.
Human schlub. And you could be banging, I don't know, 19-year-old Jamie Lee Curtis. Like,
right?
She's certainly young in this movie. It's very bizarre. I watched this, so I've seen this movie many times, but I watched this yesterday morning. And Heather is dog sitting for her cousin. And I said to her, we're doing this movie. And I said, you should check it out if you've never seen it. So she watched it last night and she texted me, and her text was, Jamie Lee Curtis is a real slutty hitchhiker. And it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
Her role in this is to be scared and to be a slutty hitchhiker.
Yep.
Why don't you
she don't want no normal, what would you call the person who picks up a hitchhiker? Driver, I guess.
Probably normally a serial killer. Or,
yeah, right.
Yeah.
She don't want no one normal, though. She wants someone weird who can get funky with her.
A weirdo, and he certainly does get funky with her. All right, let's talk about the production master. What do you got?
Written and directed by, obviously, John Carpenter. Coming off of Halloween, he also did Escape from New York, The Thing, Christine, They Live. He's got a whole bunch. Co-written by his partner, his basically writing / producing partner, Deborah Hill. Also Halloween, Escape from New York, The Dead Zone, Clue, Adventures in Babysitting, some of her stuff. The initial idea for The Fog basically came to Carpenter and Deborah Hill while they were visiting Stonehenge. I guess there was some kind of thick, eerie fog rolling in, and Carpenter wondered out loud if there were, what if there was something in the fog? So there you go. There's the birth of a movie. And then they drew further inspiration from a 19th century event in California where a ship was deliberately wrecked and plundered, as well as a 1958 British movie, The Trollenberg Terror, which featured creatures in the clouds.
I read about the real life, grounding of a ship, and they took all their gold. I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
Damn, people were rough.
Yeah, people were rough back then. And I guess you could say The Mist, I'm sure was influenced by The Fog.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even though it's a different film, there's something in The Fog. I mean, and that's one of the things about Fog is it's creepy, and there could be something out there.
Yeah, for sure.
It could be.
It could be. You never know. The way that shit rolls in and it's all illuminated.
Leper pirates. You never know, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. I always forget about that. And even after, this time, even after I watched it and I sat down to do the notes, I still forgot about it.
Did you know that the captain
Was that
Blake,
Blake?
I think it is? Yeah.
Yeah, Blake.
Do you know who played that character? I never knew this until yesterday.
I don't know if I wrote it down or not.
Rob Bottin, who...
Oh, yeah, I saw that. That's right, I saw it.
John Carpenter thought he was tall and imposing and said, do you want to play... and obviously nobody's going to see the guy because they're all filmed in shadow and, hidden by the fog. But yeah, it's Rob Bottin. I thought that was very interesting.
That's right. You said that, and I remember seeing it. Another thing is the role of Stevie Wayne, played by Adrienne Barbeau, was specifically written for her by her husband, John Carpenter.
Yeah, they were married from 79 to 84. Yeah. I got some interesting factoids about Adrienne Barbeau.
Oh, good.
I do have a factoid I want to throw in while we're talking about this while I remember. John Carpenter wrote this role for her. She studied some very popular radio DJs at the time and to emulate their voices. Jazz music was used in old big band stuff because it was cheaper than rock music. That's why her station plays all of that.
Yeah.
But so there's a scene every time I see this movie, I think about how I would just quit this job because of that staircase leading to her lighthouse. And it's on the way in, it's very, a decline, but on the way out, it's this incredible incline.
Yeah.
I read a factoid about it today. 313 steps. Okay. Which is the equivalent. Now, all buildings are different as to how many steps are in a flight or a floor. But basically, they said 313 steps is equivalent to 17 to 21 stories.
Holy shit.
I would never leave that lighthouse after I went there.
When I was watching the first time they only showed it once, I think.
They only show the staircase really.
When they show the staircase going down, and I'm like, that's what you got to go to work every day. That's at least a quarter mile of stairs.
21 floors, essentially, if you want to go with the highest number for it. Okay. And, walking down it would suck, but you got to walk back up 21 flights of fucking stairs to get to your car. I'm driving my car down that fucking flight of stairs. I'm getting a Gremlin or going to the 80s, a Yugo, and I'm just going down there. Yeah.
What's going to suck is when you get halfway up at the end of the day and you're like, shit, I forgot my keys or whatever, All right. So, filming location, it was filmed from April to May of 1979. In Raleigh Studios in Hollywood, California for a lot of the interior stuff. And then on location at, several other cities in California, like Point Reyes for the lighthouse, Bolinas and Inverness, California, Bodega Bay for the dockside scenes, which was also the setting for The Birds, Hitchcock's The Birds.
Yep.
In the Episcopal Church of the Ascension in Sierra Madre, just to name a few. They filmed this in anamorphic widescreen. So it kind of gives it this sort of grander scale than the budget really was. And they use these large specialized fog machines and fought against a lot of weather and wind, to get the effect. I think it looked really good. They use a lot of lighting and smoke effects mixed in with the fog to give it that look. And then there was a little bit of cheesy, I don't know if you'd call it CGI back then, but just a couple of little cheesy pieces. But anyway, and after he edited the film and screened it, he didn't like it. He thought it was terrible.
And it was too short. It was like 80 minutes.
It was too short and not scary enough and lacked the punch and horror, that he figured his audience would come to expect. So they made a bunch of reshoots, which also added to the budget, but basically made the film what it is. So some of the reshoots are a new opening, the whole campfire scene with John Houseman.
Smith Barney, we make money the old-fashioned way. We earn it.
Nice. Yeah, very good. I love that guy. That opening campfire, I mean, it pretty much makes the whole movie.
Oh, it's great. It's great. Yeah, and reshoot, totally, yeah.
Why is this old man sitting at midnight with a bunch of little fucking kids out of he's scaring to death?
Release the Epstein files and see if that guy's on them.
Yeah. Oh, man. And then they added, more of the scares and gore. I mean, it wasn't a gory movie, but, the kills with the hooks and the swords and stuff like that. The scene where the corpse falls out of the locker, stuff like that. And then the lighthouse attack, they added that in reshoots as well.
I read that they added the scene where the corpse attacks her. Not really attacks her, but comes back to life in the
morgue.
Yeah.
That one too.
Yep.
They added all the stuff that, kind of made it what it is.
Yeah. Good for John Carpenter to
smart move.
Be able to adjust because a lot of those scenes are pretty memorable and important,
Yeah. And then the last thing is that he reworked his own musical score. Give it that sort of synthesizer sound, which I guess didn't have before, is just traditional, which is pretty cool. I like the transgression. Yeah. Okay. From the beginning to the end, because it starts off like a little lighter, and then it ends a little heavier. It's like more flat in the end. The soundtrack.
Maybe transition. It's
transition. Yeah.
Transgression is when you do something.
Yeah, that's doing something bad.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. You could use it though. It's okay. I like that.
No, it wasn't a transgression. I think it worked well. I liked it. Yeah, and that's what I've got for production. Who is in this beautiful movie?
Round up the usual suspects.
All right. So speaking of beautiful, let's start off with Adrienne Barbeau. As I mentioned before, married to John Carpenter from 1979 to 1984. his son, Cody Carpenter, who he does all the music with and tours with, is her child with him. Crazy ass factoid about Adrienne Barbeau is on March 17th, 1997, St. Patrick's Day. At age 51, she naturally gave birth to twin sons,
Ooh.
like 51 years old, with her second husband. So she is currently 80 years old. So her kids are 30 years old. You know, that's fairly old for kids, but Adrienne Barbeau defies all kinds of things such as gravity.
Yeah, she does. Yeah.
Look, I'm going to be a pig for a second. She's so hot in this movie. I've always loved her, and she's just a good looking woman, man.
Of course, we love her in Swamp Thing.
Yeah, of course, Swamp Thing. She did one more film with John Carpenter, Escape from New York. And, of course, if you were a boy my age and watched HBO, you do not forget her and her zip-up suit in the Cannonball Run that she uses to great effect.
Yes.
We mentioned.
May I say one thing about her?
100%.
I am currently watching a show on, I think it's on HBO Max, called Duster by J.J. Abrams.
Yeah, I've seen the preview for that with Sawyer from Lost. Right?
Yeah, Josh Holloway.
Yeah.
And a lot of other folks I don't know. There's a few that I do. But Adrienne Barbeau is both a character in the movie and an actor in the movie. Only in one scene so far. But there's a party. It takes place in the 70s. So there's a party that this guy goes to, Josh Holloway. And while he's at a party, he runs across this beautiful brunette lady with, a nice rack. And it happens to be Adrienne Barbeau. And then further on in the movie, Adrienne Barbeau plays a current day character who's, an older woman. So I thought it was pretty interesting that she's an actor.
I wanted to check that show out. Yeah, I wanted to check.
Yeah, I like it. I'm enjoying it. It's really good. If you like 70s kind of shit and drivers, and if you like Josh Holloway, the guy looks fucking amazing.
Yeah,
he's like a few years younger than me. I think he's 56.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks incredible.
He was hot.
Oh, and it's got David Keith, of course. Or Keith David.
Okay. Which one? Keith David? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I like David Keith too, but Keith David is the man. Tom Atkins plays Nick Castle. There's a lot of that in this movie where John Carpenter names characters after friends of his. Obviously, Nick Castle being the guy who played Michael Myers in the first film, directed The Last Starfighter, a whole bunch of stuff. Tom Atkins from Night of the Creeps, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, and Lethal Weapon. Jamie Lee Curtis is Elizabeth Solly. Obviously, Halloween was her big breakthrough. She comes back for John Carpenter here. One of my favorite movies of all time, A Fish Called Wanda. And a sequel coming out, I think, in a couple weeks. I forgot. We're in September. Came out last month. Her and Lindsay Lohan, Freakier Friday. Friday. Hal Holbrook plays Father Malone. Hal Holbrook, kind of like character actor Hall of Fame. You might know him from, he was in Lincoln. You might know him from Creep Show. And he was Katie Seagal's father on Sons of Anarchy. And he passed away about 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, that's right.
At the age of 95.
Did he play Mark Twain?
He did. He was famous he wrote a play about Mark Twain and played Mark Twain. And he also was married to Dixie Carter of Designing Women fame. And her other fame is when I was like a teenager and my mom would watch Designing Women. I think she's like MILF Hall of Fame because I remember being like, man, that woman's hot. And she's easily like 48, but she's hot. So thank you, Dixie Carter, for opening my eyes to certain things. Yep. Janet Leigh plays Kathy Williams. She is kind of like a town, I don't know. She's like someone in charge.
Organizer?
She's an organizer in charge of this town. Antonio Bay is celebrating their 100th anniversary, and she's all about this fucking thing. It's her job to make sure that everything goes off without a hitch. Of course, mother of Jamie Lee Curtis. She was, of course, in Psycho, very famously.
Yeah, she was.
Touch of Evil from Orson Welles. And this is her first of 2 movies that she was in with Jamie Lee Curtis. The second was Halloween H2O 20 years later, which we covered last year.
And they don't really interact in this movie, right?
Not at all.
Not at all. But they do in the Halloween movie.
Yeah, in Halloween H2O, Jamie Lee Curtis is the headmaster of a school, and she's like her secretary.
All right. How old do you think Janet Leigh was in this movie?
Oh, she actually looks kind of good too. Like, I mean, she's older, but she, as I mentioned in a show, very recently, like if you had to fuck your way out of a 60-year-old woman situation, you could probably do worse than Janet Leigh. I would say it could be tricky sometimes. I'd say 58 to 64. What about you?
Wow. Okay. No, I asked Alexa how old.
How old?
And Alexa told me 53.
53.
Yeah.
Now, see, then I would be
Younger than me.
Yeah, then I would be disappointed because
basically, she's in your dating arena.
Right? Yeah. All right. Nancy Loomis, aka Nancy Keys. She has gone by a couple different names. Plays Sandy. She is the assistant of the Janet Leigh character. Pretty much just John Carpenter shit. She was in Assault on Precinct 13. She was in Halloween. She was Jamie Lee Curtis's friend that dies in the car. And then she's in Halloween 3 as a different character because obviously that movie's a different thing. She plays the ex-wife of Tom Atkins. Not really much else. She really kind of retired from acting. Charles Cyphers plays, here's another one of these name games. They don't say his name in the movie fully. They call him like Dan the Weatherman, but the character's name in the credits is Dan O'Bannon. Dan O'Bannon is the guy who wrote Alien, who wrote Return of the Living Dead and directed it, and also co-wrote Dark Star, which was John Carpenter's first film, with him. Charles Cyphers is the sheriff in Halloween, who is the father of the character played by Nancy Loomis, Annie Brackett. He's Sheriff Brackett. He was in Truck Turner, a film we did a few years ago, a blaxploitation film, which is fucking awesome. And he is in, and I get to sing it. I don't remember him being in it, but any chance I see someone's name is in this movie, it gives me a chance to say he was in Gleam in the Cube.
Gleam in the Cube.
Gleam in the Cube. He was in that too. Let's see here. All right, one more. We mentioned him before as Mr. Machin, the guy who is probably in the Epstein files. It's John Houseman. So John Houseman was in The Paper Chase, the movie and the TV show. He was Ricky's grandfather on Silver Spoons. He did all those Smith Barney commercials, and he was just that guy that he was omnipresent in my childhood, but I didn't know who the fuck he was.
You don't know why, you just know him.
He in the 30s and 40s, he was a producing partner, I believe, of Orson Welles, and they had a falling out. So he's got kind of a long storied career, but he's only in one scene in this movie as a guy telling a story in a campfire, and he's mostly known to people, I think, as the Smith Barney guy. He has that kind of upper crust, affluent, probably New England bullshit going on. But so speaking of the campfire, the movie starts off where Mr. Machin is telling a bunch of kids who are hopefully not his victims, but maybe Cub Scouts or something, all about the history of what happened on April 21st, 100 years prior to this story, and the founding of Antonio Bay. And he tells them it's going to be a 5-minute story.
Clipper ship.
Yeah. Clipper ship comes in, Manster. Explain the whole thing. Explain everything that happened if you could remember everything.
So there was a Clipper ship. I don't remember how. I'm getting mixed up the story that we hear later in the journal and then the story that he told. But there's a Clipper ship, and it's a bunch of guys coming to shore. There is a fog, so they can't see, and they are guided by this big fire that they think is a lighthouse, so they're going towards the lighthouse, but it's actually just a campfire. As they come closer, they smash into the rocks, and everyone drowns and dies and drinks the salt water.
That's the story he tells.
Yeah.
And, he says it was 100 years ago, and, if you listen close enough, you could hear. And, that's kind of where that bit of the story ends. And then we get, our opening credits, and it kind of shows us a couple different things. We have Adrienne Barbeau's character, Stevie Wayne, kind of talking to people as she's doing her radio DJ thing.
Very sultry voice.
Sultry voice. And Antonio Bay, 100 years tomorrow, the big party. Yeah.
1840.
So she's going on about all of that stuff. And then we kind of see the clock turn and hit midnight. Now, right before that happens, we meet Hal Holbrook's Father Malone, who is chilling out in this very old and rustic stone church. John Carpenter works for him, and he apparently doesn't get paid for his work. I don't know what's that all about. Where John Carpenter,
yeah.
And this is actually funny because every time I see this movie, I think, why is John Carpenter in this film, but he doesn't seem to be in any other of his films in a prominent role? And it's because when the movie came out, he said he thought he was so fucking terrible that he didn't want to do roles in movies anymore.
Okay.
He's not terrible. He's fine.
I thought it was going to be, maybe he thought it would be like one of those Alfred Hitchcock or Stephen King, make an appearance in all your movies.
And maybe he wanted to do that, but he was so put off by this movie. So he leaves, he asks to be paid, and we kind of can tell that Father Malone might be a little bit of a drunk. So he's chilling out in this old stone church when all of a sudden,
suddenly,
a fucking piece of the wall explodes. Fucking explodes. A giant stone comes flying out. And Manster, what does he find inside the wall?
There is a journal in the wall dated, exactly 100 years earlier. And it's, I don't know how far they get into it in this reading, but it's written by his grandfather, Father Malone's grandfather. I forget the name, but
who I think was also
another Father Malone,
the priest, right? We're going to just unbury the lead right here and tell you what's going on in this town.
Sure.
Father Malone's grandfather was trying to incorporate this town of Antonio Bay, or make it into a town. But I guess they didn't have enough money. They kind of like skim over that stuff. And this leper colony headed by a rich man who is a leper as well.
Right.
Now,
and they were living on a small island.
Right.
What it was?
They were living on a small island, and they come to the father and say, hey, look, we're willing to share our gold with you if you just let us live in Antonio Bay. Yeah. But we'll stay far away.
We'll just have a little colony a mile out of town.
We're lepers, right? We'll be a mile out of town. I still, to this day, admittedly, don't really know what lepers are. I've heard, lepers are people that are sick and their limbs fall off. I looked it up.
Yeah. It's a seriously contagious skin disease.
It's a skin disease, but I'm assuming back in the day it was worse, which everything was worse back in the day.
Yeah.
But so he says, hey, look, we want to kind of move in. Will you let us do this? We'll give you some of our money. But what did Father Malone, OG Father Malone, decide to do with all of this
OG Father Malone, he was so torn by it, by his, he's a man of God and he should do the right thing. And he felt for this man and his plight. But he's like, well, you got the money and we could use the money. So, they came up with this whole scheme to make this fire, to make it look like it's a lighthouse, and exactly what was explained in the campfire story. That was all planned.
Yes, the Elizabeth
by
Dane,
a priest.
Yeah, the Elizabeth Dane was the ship. It comes into harbor, it cracks open, breaks open, and there's 6 conspirators they mentioned.
Yeah,
they ransack the ship. They take all their gold for themselves and kind of use some of that money to make the charter for Antonio Bay a thing, and they essentially murdered a bunch of lepers.
Yeah, murdered a bunch of lepers. Took a lot of the gold and melted it down into this fabulous cross.
Giant cross. I don't. What were they thinking? They can't even lift the fucking thing. So That's what's going to be the impetus for our ghost pirate lepers to be pissed off about. There's also something in the journal that says, I think from midnight to 1 o'clock is the dead's hour on this night. So 100 years comes around, and then midnight to 1, that morning of, is I
want to know who made that up, though.
Yeah, I don't know. John Carpenter, when he wrote it.
Why did the guy write in the story? Why did he make it up? Why did he just leave that part out?
Yeah, maybe it was maybe he made it happen. By writing that down, he made it happen. So,
So because the lepers didn't write it. They all fucking drowned. They don't know. They're dead.
Full of seawater and leprosy. So between 12 and 1 that night, everything just starts going weird in the fucking town. Everything starts going odd in the town.
So weird. No explanation.
I want to bring up a part that kind of confused me. So later in the movie, the denizens of the town are talking about how street lights were going on and off, car alarms were going off, clocks were racing around. The Nancy Loomis character, who is the assistant to Janet Leigh's character, later on mentions, she goes, "Oh yeah, everything was going weird last night." And she mentions like her phone was ringing off the hook. And I think she says like her door was getting knocked on. The chair in her living room moved on its own.
Yeah.
She never mentions that.
She didn't. No.
The phone ringing could be anything. A knock
I think
on the
she
door
mentioned
could
the
be
car alarms.
The car alarms could be anything. A chair moves in front of you.
Yeah,
that's a fucking
shit.
ghost. That's poltergeist. She doesn't say that. I also want to mention 1980s food health standards bother me because you got the guy mopping the floor in the grocery store, Manster. And what does he do?
I don't remember.
He fucking picks up a bottle of orange juice off of the refrigerator cart that's to be sold.
Yeah.
Pops it open. It's a glass bottle. Now,
open.
today, it would be plastic and it would have a seal. Or if it was glass, it'd have a seal. No fucking seal. He takes a drink from it and then seals it back, or, puts the cap back on.
Puts it on the shelf. Yeah.
I'm bothered by that.
Yeah, that was sick. And also, there was one later on in the movie when they're on their buddy's boat, Tom Atkins.
Yeah.
And they're going through the boat, and she's like, "Oh, they must have drank a lot of beer. There's a Bud can." He fucking drinks out of an old used Bud can.
Yeah.
Not directly. He pours it into his hand, but then drinks out of his hand.
Yeah. Well,
why would you do that?
Those guys are hardcore.
Nobody does that.
Nobody does that. So Father Malone has this book. We meet Tom Atkins. He is a guy who picks up young, hot hitchhikers. Jamie Lee Curtis is a young, hot hitchhiker. They become a gruesome twosome. They immediately have sex. Did you notice in this movie, I got to ask you if you noticed this. Did you notice how many large windows and or large doors that are just window, not like actual like wood or anything, are in this town of Antonio Bay? Every fucking building they're in. And I bring this up because there's a lot of scenes where the fog rolls in and then you see like, one of the ghosts outside the window and it's a full size window. Like when Tom Atkins and
the whole side of the house was windows.
The whole side. When the knock happens and he goes to the door, he can see the person at the door through the giant door size window. And I wonder if that was a choice on John Carpenter's part to kind of make you feel less secure, right? Because
I think so. I think you're right.
I have in my back room, I have a couple of windows that are really large, and I don't even like that. I don't want people looking in my house.
Right.
This whole town has windows like this. So we meet them. They start banging around. Manster, we go out to a ship with a couple of fishermen who don't appear to be fishing. They appear to be just hanging out and talking. They get a little bit of first person action. What happens to them?
They get some action there. I guess we see some fog there. Yeah, we get some fog there, and they're just hanging out on the ship. And then, sure enough, the fog rolls in, and people are disappearing, and we see the one guy, right, the guy with the eyes at the towards the middle of the movie.
Yeah,
he gets it. So all three of those guys, there's three on there, right?
Yes.
Yeah, three fishermen. All get it. Does one get like a sword through the gut?
A couple of them get swords. The guy they find, his eyes get stabbed out.
Yeah, that's right. The eyes, yeah.
And one of them, I think the guy who gets the sword through the stomach, we find out is Janet Leigh's character's husband.
Right, we find that out.
There's a lot of like little minor connections we don't ever really, they don't ever really button in, but we find out. Like one of them I thought was weird was like Tom Atkins, once this fishing trawler goes missing and it becomes like news in town, he's very concerned about it because it seems like he's on
because
that
it's his
boat.
buddy.
It's his buddy and or he's part of that crew, but he was like off that day picking up hitchhikers.
Yeah, exactly.
But they never tell you because he's like, I know they wouldn't go out without calling and coming in. And he knows so much about this boat. And when they go out and Jamie Lee Curtis is like, well, tell me what it's like out here. And he's like, it's hard out here. It's like, so was he just off that day? Like, why wasn't he on the ship too?
And he checked out the boat the night before, he said.
Yeah. So he's clearly a crewman, but did he call out sick that day to go see a movie or something?
Yeah.
Do you think he did like the...
He says, I'm going to troll for hitchhikers tonight.
Right, oh man, I can't get in. I just don't feel good. Oh, I'm going to have some Benadryl and go to sleep and fuck a hitchhiker. Like, I just thought that was funny. So we now know that the fog is rolling in, and there's a couple scenes where you see it and it's like glowing green. And interesting factoid about this movie is that Adrienne Barbeau is only, I think, in one scene with another person. It's her son, right? Like, she's alone in this entire movie.
Yeah. When she wakes up, her son is there. I don't think she's ever with anyone else. You're right.
Her son
finds... so she probably filmed it at home.
she worked from home. She was zoomed it in. Her son finds a piece of driftwood on the beach. It's initially a coin, he says.
I missed the coin part.
I missed the coin part too. I don't know if it was so small you couldn't see it, or if they were just wanting us to believe. Was the coin not in the budget, or did I swear I thought the same thing. I didn't see the coin.
Because Nick Castle does tell the coin story.
He tells a story similar about.
So there's a reason for that coin, but
correct, and that might have been part of a reshoot at some point. So he finds a piece of driftwood. It kind of says, like, you see, it says Dane on it. Elizabeth Dane being the ship that the lepers were sunk on. I do have to ask, because I cannot not ask what you think, Lloyd. A stomach pounder is. If you remember.
What? I remember them saying a stomach pounder. It was the kid said it, right?
He wakes Adrienne Barbeau's character up. He wakes Stevie Wayne up, and he says, "Mom, can I have a stomach pounder and a Coke before lunch?" The fucking kid's a fucking pig.
Is that a candy?
I don't know. I looked it up, and I read somewhere where John Carpenter said he loves that line because it's been talked about for 40 years plus. Because they never say it. There's people that are like, it's like a quarter pounder cheeseburger. There's people that are like, that were like, oh, well, that's what we used to call like, powder that you would take if your stomach hurt, like chase it with like something fizzy. And they're like, well, why would a kid want that? That wouldn't be a treat. It's just a bizarre fucking line, but I forget about it every time I watch this movie. And then when he says it, I can't even pay attention to the movie for 10 more minutes.
Because you're like, what's a stomach pounder? I forgot about that.
I gotta pause it and sit there and go,
you know what? I think it's a brilliant term to come up with that and to throw it in there and have no meaning for it.
I think I'm going to start referring to something that I like to eat as a stomach pounder, something gross. Like, like every once in a while, like when we go to Larry's shows, we go to Five Guys, and that's a fairly greasy, large meal. I might start calling their hamburgers a stomach pounder because I don't know.
Well, there's a term, I don't know. You've had Neil's Donuts, and I've heard the term belly bomb.
I've heard that. Yeah, okay.
For like a Boston cream donut, a belly bomb.
Okay, I have heard that for other...
your belly.
Yeah, stomach.
So maybe something like that, some kind of nasty donut.
They find the ship. Tom Atkins finds the ship. It seems to have been completely abandoned as they're in the lower part of the ship talking. The body comes out of the footlocker, scaring the shit out of Jamie Lee Curtis, and they bring the body back to shore. But Manster, what is the doctor, the morgue doctor, so amazed at with this body?
I'm forgetting. What is he amazed at?
He's amazed at how it looks and how long it's supposedly been.
Oh, right, because it should have been dead for like 20 years or something.
He says, so first of all, they say it was never in the water. And he's like, no, this body was in the water. And they're like, no, it was on the ship. I stabbed out, but he's like, its lungs are full of seawater. And then he says, look, remember last year when they found those kids that were missing for 4 months and they found them underwater? He's like, this body looks like it's 10 times worse. As they're talking outside of the room, having this conference, and they do it
because you can't talk in front of a lady.
You can't talk in front of a lady, and the most gentlemanly thing to do is to leave the lady in the room with the body. So
exactly.
She's standing with her back to it, and she's just kind of like staring off into space, and we see like the hand come out from underneath the cloth on the gurney, and then it actually is a pretty good scene where we see it starting to lumber behind her, and just as it's about to get to her, and it's carrying a scalpel. A
scalpel? Like it knew exactly where the scalpel was from under the covers.
Right. And it's reaching out under the table. And then it goes to hit her. She moves. She screams. Hits the ground. The guys come running in. But Manster, what did it put on the ground? Like, what did it carve into the ground? You remember?
It looked like the number 3.
3.
Right.
So
they got 3 guys so far.
3 guys. So what is the importance of the Sixth Master? Because we mentioned it earlier, but
we had the 6 conspirators who decided to sabotage, the initial Elizabeth Dane clipper boat. Yes. So since there's 6, they're gonna, we're gonna take 6 of yours, or we're gonna take the 6 conspirators. It doesn't matter if they were actually of the lineage of the conspirators. It has nothing to do with that.
It seems like number. It only matters with Father Malone.
Yeah. And that was just luck, I think.
Right. Well, no, Father Malone seemed like they were really intent on killing him. Yeah, everybody else seemed to be just whoever got close to them because they're just trying to kill everybody. So they end up killing 5 people through the course of this movie. They kill the 3 fishermen. They kill Dan, the weatherman, who is a character who works at a weather station and is calling into Stevie Wayne and giving her the weather updates as everything's kind of going crazy. And then they kill these fuckers. They kill Mrs. Kobritz.
They take Kobritz.
They fucking fuck her up too. Like, Miss Kobritz is Stevie Wayne's son's babysitter who is 1,000 years old. And the fog rolls in and we get the scene where, because Stevie Wayne's figuring out that like this fog is like not natural through all the things that are happening and that she's kind of witnessing. And she's calling out to everybody in the town, like, go to my house, save my boy. But meanwhile, a problem with that is that the power has been cut by the leper pirates. They've cut the power to the town during the big speech, at the unveiling of the statues, which, by the way, another question I have, Janet Leigh's character finds out before the big speeches are supposed to happen that her husband is missing, most likely dead.
Right. We don't find out that her husband's one of the guys on the boats.
We kind of find that out earlier because Tom Atkins' character, Nick Castle, says to her that, don't worry, we're going to find him. He's going to be okay. But then like when they find the dead guy, they kind of assume and the cops kind of say, and she just goes right to work. She's like,
she keeps going on.
I fully get how some people need to work through stuff, but she literally is like, they're like, no, you don't have to speak at the parade. She's like, no, don't worry about my dead ass husband. I'm 53. I'll be dating John Amenta pretty soon. Like, right. She's like, he's 49. Like I'm like I'll be his young guy. I'll be his mommy. So that's all happening. And it's kind of all quickly like rolling into, the town's power is out. And the fog is rolling in, and everybody is just very much trying to figure out how to get away from this advancing fog and these specters that are kind of creeping through the town. Eventually, Stevie Wayne manages to get right. Does she get to the church thing?
If you said it, I'm sorry, but no, remember Dan the Weatherman?
Well, he's dead, yeah, but yes.
Yeah, Dan the Weatherman. So we got 3 with the guys on the ship, Dan the Weatherman and Kobritz, so that's 5. 5, yeah.
That's 5. So
right. So everyone else is trying to get away. They're trying to go for everyone, so it's not like anyone is safe.
Yeah. But I think Father Malone is like that's their big one because Father Malone OG was the one who really fucked them over. But at one point Stevie Wayne finally tells them like everybody, you got to get to this church, right?
Can you explain something to me?
Yeah, I'll try.
So she's in the lighthouse.
Yep.
The lighthouse is down by this raging water, 1.5 miles below sea level. Not below sea level, but below the town.
Yep.
Right? There's such a long flight of stairs to get down there. So how the fuck can she see where the fog is going in town and tell everybody where it is? Oh, it's on Main Street now. It's going north.
Yeah. I didn't even really think about that, but you're 100% right. Like, they do show her vantage point, and it's repeated over and over again where she's like, it's reaching the beach. And now when she's like,
all she can see is the shore.
Yeah. It's on Boylston. Now it's on Hall Avenue. Like, you're right. She 100% is like zoning in. Like she's in that lighthouse. She's got like Batman style equipment.
It's crazy.
I do think a cool scene in this movie is where she brings the plank that the name plank.
Oh yeah, with the Dane on it.
Dane on it, and it like starts to like drip water all over her promo tapes and all of her 80s radio equipment, and then like it kind of like
sparks a fire,
and then when she looks at it again, it says like 6 must die. I thought that was pretty fucking cool. So all of our characters start to head towards the church. Tom Atkins, Nick Castle, and Elizabeth save Stevie Wayne's son. They can't save Miss Cobra. It's three of them just like gang rape her. They like drag her into the fog, and you're like, okay, I don't want to see what happens next.
I had on my subtitles, and when they pulled her out and pulled her back in the fog and then start going at it with the stabbing, the subtitles actually said flesh squelching.
Flesh squelching.
Flesh squelching. Yeah.
I am not a subtitle guy. I've got to become one. I find it
you miss a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, I find it distracting, but sometimes I realize I miss certain things. They all get to the church. Elizabeth, Nick, the kid, and then Janet Leigh and her assistant, they all get there, and they find Father Malone, and he's just drunk and, very much like, well, we're all doomed. And then the fog rolls in, and all of a sudden we get like
arms start coming through stained glass windows.
Those scenes are awesome. Like the stained glass windows getting punched out.
Yeah.
At one point they grab the Nancy Loomis character.
They grab her hair and
they start pulling her back. And then we also see Adrienne Barbeau at the lighthouse. So we see Stevie Wayne at the lighthouse, and she is getting chased up to the top of the lighthouse, like almost like the top of the roof. It's like rounded off, and the hands are coming up around her. Again, another thing that Lloyd mentioned was added in. So finally, Father Malone,
she does get up on the top of a roof. And another thing, there's only one ladder, and we see the leper pirate that climbs up the ladder, but somehow another leper pirate levitates all the way to the top of the roof.
Bro, you don't know about leper pirates and their powers of levitation?
Yeah, I didn't know that. I'm aware of it now, but
yeah, sure, they've got terrible skin rashes, but they can fucking float.
Yeah.
Father Malone decides that he knows what these guys want. They want the gold that has been stolen from them. And as Lloyd mentioned earlier in the movie, for some weird reason, like these guys stole the gold and then didn't use it for anything. They
just made a cross and put it in the fucking wall.
They made this giant cross that easily weighs 180 pounds. It looks so heavy. And he's like, we know what you want, Blake, come in and get it. And he grabs the cross and brings it out. He's like, carrying it's very hard. As he comes out with it, Blake comes out to get him. And as Malone is holding the cross, Blake grabs the cross as well. And then it just goes fucking like supersonic, like neon. Like all of a sudden just
like everything's glowing now. And like Hal Holbrook or whatever, Father Malone, he's fucking lit up.
Yeah.
He's like what, those guys you see when they get electrocuted and their whole body lights up and you see their bones.
You're almost waiting for like, cause he's a priest and this is like a cross, and you're almost waiting for like the hand of God, like almost like something from Indiana Jones to come out and start picking off these pirates. But, they all disappear, right? They just all kind of vanish in a flash. And then
Nick pulls him off. Nick pulls off Father Malone, and then it's just Captain Drake holding the cross by himself. And then he just, like you said, it just disappears.
They all disappear. The fog rolls back, and we get a scene where Stevie Wayne gets back on the radio after she gets off of the roof, and she tells everybody, she's like, the fog is gone, it's lifted, but keep an eye out for it, because it could come back, right? It could come back at any minute. So everybody, kind of goes their own way, and we assume everything's over, but Father Malone is kind of like sitting inside the church and like wondering, like, aloud, like, why did you stop at 5?
Yeah. Why didn't you take me?
Yeah. Why didn't you take me? And of
course,
tempt
fate? I don't get it.
Yeah. He's kind of like saying out loud, like, like you should have killed me too, bitch, when you had the chance, but you didn't. And then we get the scene where he kind of turns around and they're all the leper, fucking fisherman, pirate, whatever the fuck they are all in the church, and they're all staring at him. And Blake is the one that has like these like red eyes. Yeah. And he comes over, and in one fell swoop, he slashes across Father Malone. We don't see like the head come off or anything, and then we just get the fog, right? We get the title card. Now, my question to you, Manster, is this. I thought about it when I watched it yesterday. Is this a downbeat horror movie ending where we're to intone that these leper ghosts are back and they're going to kill everybody else? Or do you think they killed him and they got their 6 and they're gone? Because
they're 6 and done.
Okay, that's what I think too. Because otherwise, you're like, well, it's one of those downer horror movie endings where you think everything's okay and then you realize, oh, everybody's dead.
Yeah, no, I don't get that feeling out of this movie. I don't recall. Was there ever a Fog 2?
No, there was a remake in 2005.
Right.
I saw once, and it was very much one of those mid-2000s kind of shitty, I think it starred Tom Welling of Smallville.
No, this is a one-and-done movie. That's all we need.
All right, that's 1980s The Fog here on Totally Bitchin' 80s, all September long. Let's talk about some box office.
This country, you gotta make the money first.
All right, Manster, what was the release date of this one? Let me see here. It was released on February 1st of 1980, as you mentioned earlier. This thing pulled in about $21.4 million, and it made it the number 31 movie of 1980 for domestic box office. Of course, we've talked about this a million times. The number one movie that year was Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, at $209 million. But a couple other movies that did pretty well that year. At number 4, Airplane, $83 million. Popeye, number 12, $49.8 million. The OG Friday the 13th came in 18th place, $39.7 million. And let's go down low and see what was the number 100 movie. Never heard of this before. Windows at $2.1 million.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. So that's
9 to 5 was number 2 that year.
Yes, it was 9 to 5.
Good movie. Dolly Parton.
Yes, Dolly Parton was another woman of my childhood that made me start to realize that I had a penis. So let's rate this thing.
Now! What's it gonna be, Doc? Huh? What's it gonna be?
0 to 5, 0 being the worst thing ever. 5 being the best thing ever. Quarter and half scale optional. I'll go first. This is, in my opinion, we've done a lot of John Carpenter films on the Pint. We did Escape from New York. We did The Thing. Obviously, our first Pint movie invitational ever with the Manster. We've done a lot. This is one that every time I watch it, I forget how much I like it. I know I love The Thing. I know I love Halloween. I know I love They Live. But like The Fog, I feel like I fall asleep on between viewings. And I think this was the one, because I'm going to record it for posterity, where I can officially say, this is a really good movie. If it's mostly due to the reshoots, then good on you, John Carpenter. You made a pretty good ghost story. You made a pretty suspenseful movie. You made a movie that has Adrienne Barbeau looking great in it. It's an interesting concept. It's very simple. It utilizes something that is very, commonplace. Fog, right? We see fog here in New England. We see fog, all over the place. And it is one of those things where it's like the water, right? Like, why is Jaws so scary? Because you don't know what's underneath you. Why is the fog scary? Because you can't see 2 feet in front of your face. Good performances. I don't know. I'm not going to sleep on this one anymore. I don't even own this movie. I feel right. I gotta buy it. I know they did a couple of 4K and Blu-ray newer editions. I don't own it. I gotta get this thing because I really actually do enjoy this. And I think something to point out too is that this is his first movie after Halloween, 2 movies before The Thing. John Carpenter deserves a lot of credit for his first 10 years in movie making. This guy made Halloween. This guy made, as I mentioned, Escape from New York, The Thing, They Live, Big Trouble in Little China. And then if you want to go and say, okay, well, what are some, in the first 10 years, some of his lesser films, or at least not as talked about? The Fog, Christine, which is fucking solid as shit, and Starman, which I had never seen before.
Oh, right.
Me and Laura did it, I think, on the Pint Insider a couple years ago, and that's a good movie. John Carpenter might have the best first 10 years. And I'm not even talking about, like, I've never seen Assault on Precinct 13 or Dark Star, but even if those aren't good, this guy's got a really good average. I'm going to give this 4.25. I really enjoyed this movie. 4.25. I literally this morning was on Amazon looking up, like, what to get. And I haven't looked at my shelf to make sure, because I've done that before, where I'm like, oh, I definitely don't own this. Because I watched it on Amazon Prime, and then I bought it and then gone to my shelf and gone, fuck, I did buy that at some point. I'm going to go 4.25. I think this is super solid. Really good ghost story. Manster, go for it.
Okay. Yeah. I enjoy The Fog. I haven't seen it a lot, but I wouldn't put it in the top tier of horror films. So anything like 4 and above, I guess, is probably top tier, but I've got it up in the upper middle. I really appreciate the suspense that, builds and the rolling mist. I guess I kind of like you. I don't really find it frightening, but I forget that it's suspenseful and it's good. And I like it when I watch it. It's really got tons of atmosphere. The slow building ghost story. I guess I don't know if I always like it better than the slasher or whatever, but you just got to find the right one. But it's creepy enough, you got the fog and the menacing like shadows and silhouettes. So it's really good. The cast, I mean, I'm not going to say it's a superstar, great, performances, but it's good. It gives you what you need for everybody.
Lots of genre favorites in this thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't know, man. Tom Atkins, he bangs every woman, every young woman he ever sees in a movie.
Yep.
How is this possible?
Big old dick.
Yeah. So of course, JLC and Adrian Barbeau, you can't beat that. And I think John Houseman's Campfire Story is a perfect setup for this movie. If he did nothing else besides that would have been a big improvement over not having that.
Right.
So that was really good. And I do like the musical score. I like most of his musical scores. Some of them seem a little derivative, but I like this one pretty well. The cons that I have is me, like if something doesn't make sense, it kind of gets on my nerves, but there is a lot of that. There is some narrative shortcomings in this, but I've already pretty much said most of them, so I won't point any out. They don't really matter in the end. It's just all about the atmosphere. So you got suspense, and it's good. It's a good movie, and it shows his skill in crafting a really good movie. So I'm going to give it a 3.75.
I swear to God, sometimes when you're about to say your score, I try to get in your head.
Yeah. Yeah.
I said he's going to give this a 3.75.
Yeah. It just creeps right up to the upper echelon.
Yeah. All right. Well, we both like The Fog a lot. So if you've never seen it before, it is currently on Amazon Prime. Very limited commercial interruptions. I found that very, very great. We are going to be talking about another movie after this episode's over, and there was a shit ton of commercial interruptions on Pluto. So yeah. So Amazon Prime, thank you for limited.
Thank you, Amazon Prime.
Appreciate it. All right. Well, we're back. The Pint is back. It is totally bitchin' 80s all September long. We're going to be talking all 80s movies and all the way through the Pint Insider as well, both of those episodes. So let's have some fun. It's fun to be back. Manster, I'm glad that you're recovering. Tell them where they can find us, Manster.
Yeah, you can find us. If you don't already know where to find us, you can get us on all of your podcatchers. On Facebook, it's The Pint, a pop culture podcast. And on Instagram, it's at The Pint Pop. And Patreon, go ahead and become an insider at www.patreon.com/The Pint. You will love it.
Guaranteed. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
See ya.
It's over, Johnny. It's over! Nothing is over! Nothing! You just don't turn it off!